The numbers can only be manipulated a limited number of ways. Many movies have the number 13 in the title. 13 Frightened Girls, 1963. 13 East Street, 1952. 13 Floors, 1991. 13 West Street, 1962. 13 Fighting Men, 1960. 13 Ghosts, 1960. 13 Lead Soldiers, 1948. 13 Men and a Gun, 1938. Apollo 13, 1995. We even have a rating for movies PG-13. In case you didn't know it, Hollywood is owned by the Masons. Obvious, isn't it? John Wayne was a Mason. How many of us played cowboys and Indians? No one wanted to be the Indian. Indians got killed, we all knew that. This was Hollywood's way of glorifying the mass murder of a race of people. Same way in Germany. The kids played Nazi SS and Jews. Every kid wanted to be a Nazi. Never the Jew or Christian. Gene Roddenberry, creator of Star Trek series, was a Mason. Even the name Vulcan was the name of a false Roman god. The communicator is a pyramid. By the way, Star Trek was created to get us ready for a fake alien invasion to usher in the New World Order. Robert Howard. 13 and 33. The Freemason's signature M is the 13th letter of the alphabet. McDonald's, shown repeatedly by Fritz Springmeier and others to be in the service of the Illuminati, uses the M and often underlines it in advertisements, making a 13 on its side. Arby's and Westall also have similar 13s encoded in their logos, since M looks like a 3 on its side. Hershey's M plus M's give us 33, another Illuminati number. Other potentially relevant double M's include Master Mason, Mother Mary, Mara Magdalene, Magic Mushroom, and Maxim Magazine. Possible MK Ultra victims: Marilyn Monroe, Marilyn Manson, Eminem, Marshall Mathers, and Marky Mark. Creations of 33rd degree Mason: Walt Disney, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, Masonic Warner Brothers, Mighty Mouse, and video game characters Mega Man and Mario. 32/33. At the Vatican there are 32 archways on each side of the courtyard with a giant obelisk in the middle. The Pope's cassock has 32 buttons and his head represents the 33rd. The symbol for the Soviet Union has 32 rays emanating from the sun, being the 33rd. On the 3rd of March 2003, the UN World Prayer Center called for everyone to pray simultaneously at 3:30 p.m. The ceiling in the United Nations General Assembly room has a large circular light surrounded by 32 smaller lights. The UN building is 13 x 3 stories high and sits on land donated by Mason illuminist David Rockefeller. The United Nations flag shows the globe divided into 33 sections encircled by olive branches. The flag also happens to be blue, just like the first 3 blue degrees of Masonry. There are 13 degrees of York Rite Masonry and 33 degrees of Scottish Rite. Our measuring system originated in Masonic France in the 1790s, which explains why 13 standard inches is equal to exactly 33 metric centimeters. Ice freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit and changes to water at 33 degrees, corresponding precisely with the Masonic degrees of illumination. 33 is the first degree. Solid ice can melt, move freely. The very idea of measuring heat by degrees is Masonic. So is your diploma degree, and getting the 3rd degree comes from the Masonic 3rd degree ceremony, in which the initiate must answer many probing, personal questions. The eagle, one of the main symbols of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, is found on the dollar bill. It has 32 feathers on its right wing, symbolizing the 32 formal degrees of Scottish Rite Masonry, but he's looking at his left wing, which contains an extra 33rd feather representing the 33rd degree held by many world leaders and historical figures. Head of the Supreme Council of World Freemasonry Albert Pike invented the 33rd degree of Freemasonry in 1832. He was chief judicial officer and co-founder of the KKK. K equals 11th letter. 11 x 3 equals 33. In Hebron King David, reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months. 7 plus 6 equals 13. And in Jerusalem he reigned 30 and 3 years 33. Over all Israel and Judah. 2 Samuel 5:5. There are multiple references to 33 in the Bible. 33 days of purification. Leviticus 12:4. 33 sons and daughters of Israel. Genesis 46:15. And 3,300 officers of King Solomon. 1 Kings 5:16. King David reigned in Jerusalem for 33 years. 1 Kings 2:11. The Star of David is 2 triangles, meaning 2 3s 33. There are exactly 33 titles in the Old Testament for the Antichrist and 13 in the New Testament. Most importantly, Jesus was baptized at age 30, began his 3-year ministry, then died and was resurrected at age 33, Luke 3:23. Also see 1 Chronicles 3:4 and 1 Chronicles 29:27. The sun enters at the 30th degree but is not totally clear until the 33rd degree, as it is of a certain size also. This is why they said in the Bible that the ministry of Christ begins at 30 and finishes at 33. This reference would have been unmistakable to anyone aware of the secrets of astrology. The number is connected to the initiation of the Son of God, not sun, passing through the zodiac. This is why the Freemasonic lodges also utilize the number. Michael's Arian, Astrotheology and Sidereal Mythology and Astrology. The sun officially transitions into a new sign of the zodiac at the 33rd degree, a concept well known long before Christianity. For more information regarding the astrological origins of the Christian mythos, reference the chapter titled Astrotheology. Dante's Divine Comedy divided into 33 canto sections, 33 cantos of Inferno, 33 cantos of Purgatorio, and 33 cantos of Paradiso. The human foot has 33 muscles. The Indy 500 traditionally starts with 3 rows of 11, 33 race cars. There is a band called 311. The Bank of America logo is 3 sets of 11s making 33. The Queen Mother's time of death was reported 3:15. Both hands on 3 equals 33. Enron CEO Kenneth Lay bought the entire 33rd floor of his building and lived in condo number 33. The Windows logo covertly encodes 33 in the window panes. The double-body Indonesia bombings on the 12th of October, 2002, and the 1st of October, 2005, were 11 days short of 3 years apart. The 11th of November 2004 they offed Yasser Arafat and pronounced him dead officially at 3:30 am. The same day the UN meets to discuss the bird flu for the first time. 3 months and 11 days later on the 22nd of February 2005 the CDC starts scaring the American people with more avian flu mutation propaganda, mentioning possible military enforced quarantines coming for the American people. All true. Already happened. The space shuttle taxis to launch pad number 39 on runway number 33 in Florida. The elite sacrificed Columbia STS-107 with 1 astronaut from each of the 7 continents over the 33rd parallel onto stroke 103. 33. The 11th year anniversary to the morning of a speech Bush I delivered in front on the UN calling for the New World Order. Bastards again and again. Janet Reno was appointed on 3/11/1993. 39. 13x3. Days later they burned everyone alive in the Waco Church. 3/11/1985 was also the date of Mikhail N.W. Gorbachev's inauguration. Eric Rainbolt, The Cryptocracy Book. 78. Roosevelt and Hitler came to power in 1933 and both were committed to the establishment of the New World Order. The Masonic Great Seal with a Latin New World Order was added to the dollar bill in 1933. Walt Disney was a 33rd degree Freemason and Disneyland has a Club 33. The Magic Kingdom Castle was designed after the Neuschwanstein Castle in Bavaria where the Illuminati was formed. During WWII 33rd degree Winston Churchill gave us the V for Victory 2-finger salute which since the 60s became peace. Before this Masonic sign stood for victory or peace. It was a symbol of the 33rd degree. There are 3 joints to the knuckle on 2 fingers making 33 then held apart like a V is about 33 degrees. 33rd degree Mason Buzz Aldrin and son of a 33rd degree Mason Neil Armstrong Jr. supposedly performed a Masonic ceremony 33 minutes after arriving on the moon, held the Masonic flag, and took pictures of each other. On the 2nd of July 2003 a Columbia nightclub blast killed 33rd degree Freemasonic director James Cameron attended the Houston, Texas opening of his film Titanic, which began playing at exactly 3:33 p.m., with 2 other, making 3 33rd degree Freemasons. Stanley Kubrick was murdered exactly 666 days before the start of 2001. His Space Odyssey 2001. Space Odyssey was first shown in 1968, 33 years before 2001. Rosemary's Baby was filmed in the Dakota building where John Lennon, who personally knew Polanski, was shot to death. In the movie, the elites, including cameo by Church of Satan founder Anton LaVey, demand her baby for success and fame. 1 year after, Polanski's pregnant wife Sharon Tate was murdered by Charles Manson's followers. Manson was later seen frantically waving Masonic gestures at his trial. John F. Kennedy was killed over currency right next to the 33rd degree latitude line in the 11th month on the 22nd equals 2x11 right when he entered the pyramid, where they killed him. With a triangle hit of masonry, they erected an Egyptian obelisk with the eternal flame of masonry on top. Ronald Reagan was shot in the 3rd month on the 30th day 3 and 30 equals 33. George Bush Sr. Aren't you a 33rd degree Mason? And wouldn't you have benefited from Reagan's death? Were not your policies radically different from Reagan's? Didn't you ride his coattails into office? You would have never have been president if it wasn't for Reagan. Masonic, Occult Numerology by Duke. Little more than 2 months after taking office, President Reagan was struck by an assassin's bullet which, but for a quarter of an inch, would have propelled Bush into the Oval Office 7 years before his time. Oddly enough, the brother of the would-be assassin, John W. Hinckley, had scheduled dinner with Bush's son Neil the very night Reagan was shot. Hinckley's Texas oilman father and George Bush were longtime friends. It should also be noted that Bush's name, including his then little publicized nickname Poppy along with his address and phone number were found in the personal notebook of oil geologist George D. Mohrenschildt, the last known close friend of Lee Harvey Oswald. Jim Mars, rule by secrecy. 32. Jesus was crucified by the Roman government and died for 3 days at age 33. Alexander the Great also died at 33. Pope John Paul I was murdered after being in power for only 33 days. David Koresh, leader of the Branch Davidians at Waco, Texas was killed by the US government at 33 years old near the 33rd parallel. Oklahoma City bombing suspect Timothy McVeigh was also murdered by the government at 33. There were 33 victims in the suspicious Virginia Tech shootings in April 2007. Significant though it was, the JFK assassination is only one among many calculated murders that have happened along, or close to, the 33rd parallel. The number of murders of people of high position and key witnesses along the 33rd parallel is significant. Day Williams, Masons and Mystery at the 33rd parallel. Many significant events in modern history have taken place on the 33rd parallel. For example, 33rd degree Freemason and 33rd President of the US Harry Truman entered us into the nuclear age with the bomb test at the 33rd parallel Trinity test site in White Sands, New Mexico. He later authorized 2 more to be dropped near the 33rd parallel at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. About 3 years later at the 33rd parallel in Roswell, New Mexico was the famous UFO sighting and subsequent Area 51 base. JFK was murdered at Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas near the 33rd parallel on the 22nd of November 1963. 11 and 22 equals 33. Dealey Plaza is shaped like a pyramid with missing capstone and was also the site of the first Masonic temple in Dallas. The Olympic Park bombing in Atlanta, Georgia was also on the 33rd parallel. In spiritual numerology, 33 symbolizes the highest spiritual conscious attainable by the human being. Elizabeth Van Buren, The Secret of the Illuminati, 1612. 3 very significant 33s relate to the human body and spirituality, and it is likely the esoteric understanding of these 33s that is coveted by Masons of the 33rd degree. First, there are exactly 33 turns in a complete sequence of human DNA. This biological fact was likely known by the ancients, whom, as will later be shown, were far more advanced scientifically technologically than portrayed in the Rockefeller vertebrae in the human spine. In ancient Kundalini yoga, the Kundalini serpent energy is said to rise from the root chakra, coiling up and around the spine until illuminating the crown chakra of spiritual enlightenment. This may sound like bogus Eastern mysticism until this sacred number 33 shows parallels in the world of Western occult studies. The ancient Hebrew Kabbalistic tree of life contains 33 permutations of consciousness, 22 paths, 10 known drawn Sephiroth, and an 11th hidden Sephiroth left undrawn in most renditions. Just as the Kundalini serpent coils up the 33 vertebrae of the spine, the tree of life is often drawn with a serpent coiling up and around, showing the path to take towards Kether, the crown chakra. The paths represent the successive stages of the unfolding of cosmic realization in human consciousness. In old pictures, a serpent is often depicted as twined about the boughs of the tree. This is the serpent Nechushtan who holdeth his tail in his mouth, the symbol of wisdom and initiation. The coils of this serpent, when correctly arranged upon the tree, cross each of the paths in succession and seem to indicate the order in which they should be numbered. With the help of this glyph, then, It is a simple matter to arrange all the tables of symbols in their correct positions upon the tree, granted that the symbols are given in their correct order in the tables. In certain modern books which rank as authorities upon the subject, the correct order is not given, the writers apparently holding that this should not be revealed to the uninitiated, but as this order is given correctly in certain older books, and, for the matter of that, in the Bible itself and the Kabbalistic literature, there seems to me no point in deliberately misleading students with spurious information. Dion Fortune, The Mystical Kabbalah, 256. A symbol for the limbic system and the Kundalini energy. The lizard also represents the cyclical movement of energy through the universe and the space-time continuum. Birth, death, rebirth ad infinitum. Aurum solis. Many people regard Kundalini as a new age fad. Nothing could be further from the truth. Kundalini can be considered the oldest known science. In previous ages, people raised Kundalini under the guidance of teachers and in controlled circumstances, preserving what they learned as an esoteric knowledge. But we have entered a period of time in which the esoteric becomes exoteric. Genevieve Lewis Paulson, Kundalini and the Chakras. 7. The serpent wound around the tree that talks with Eve in Genesis references this process of spiritual illumination. The ancient caduceus symbol of Hermes Mercury Thoth, now used by the Western pharmaceutical industry, also symbolizes this process. Two intertwining snakes, which look exactly like our 33-sequence double helix DNA, climb a straight, vertical pole, which looks like our 33 vertebrae spine, and end at the circle of light crown chakra, which has sprouted wings. These are the same wings pins worn by the military police pilots and given to children on commercial planes. The origin of this symbology goes back to the ancient Atlantean myth, precursor to the Genesis story. At the center of Atlas Garden was the great tree of life. Just as in the Garden of Eden, this tree produced unique golden apples of immortality, reserved only for the most purified and holy beings. Atlas' 7 daughters were known as the Hesperides, and their main duty was tending and defending the tree of life. Assisting them in its protection was a familiar friend coiled around the tree. To assist the Hesperides in its protection, a serpent called Ladon entwined about the bough. The Hesperides are sometimes given a 7 in number. As such, they may correspond to the 7 major chakras, or metaphysical energy centers that, collectively, comprise the human personality. So too, the tree of life symbolizes the spinal column, along which the chakras are arranged. This interpretation suggests that Kundalini Yoga originated in Atlantis, from which it spread around the world. Indeed, the tree of life is a theme frequently encountered in many European and Asian traditions of Atlantis and Lemuria, respectively. Frank Joseph, The Atlantis Encyclopedia, 121. Thus it would seem that the secret of 33, the secret held by 33rd degree Freemasons, is one regarding spiritual consciousness, one that dates back to ancient Egypt and Atlantis. The Masonic symbol of a pillar holding up the earth no doubt relates to this Atlantean mythos, in which Atlas held the world on his shoulders. In the dictionary, one definition of Atlas is the anatomical term for the first cervical vertebra which supports the head. This means the 33rd vertebra from the bottom. As the serpent travels, the very vertebra which supports our heads minds is actually called Atlas. So the Atlas vertebra holds up the world, our minds. Atlas has 7 daughters, chakras, who guard the tree of life, spinal column, and its golden apples of immortality. -40 is the temperature at which the Fahrenheit and Celsius scales correspond. That is, -40 degree F equals -40 degree C. Just as ice melts at 33 degrees, just as 13 inches equals 33 centimeters, just as 666. This mystery will be further explored in the Atlantis chapter. ABC, American Broadcasting Company, 1, 2, 3 equals 1 plus 2 and 3 equals 33. Note, ABC Towers in La are 2 triangular buildings. 2 triangles of 3 sides signifies 33. PBS, Public Broadcasting System, 16, 2, 19 equals 162 plus 19 equals 33. XFL Extreme Football League, 24, 6. 12 equals 24 plus 6 plus 1 plus 2 equals 33. IBM, International Business Machines, 9, 2. 13 equals 9 plus 2, 11, 1 plus 1 plus 1 and 3 equals 33. UK United Kingdom, 21, 11 equals 2 plus 1, 3, x 11 equals 33. UN, United Nations, 21, 14 equals 2 plus 1, 3, and 41, 3, equals 33. NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, 14, 1, 19, 1 equals 141 plus 19 plus 1 equals 33. HARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, 8, 1, 1, 18, 16 equals 8 plus 11 plus 18 plus 1 plus 6 equals 33. 40. Negative 40 is the temperature at which the Fahrenheit and Celsius scales correspond. That is, minus 40 degree F equals minus 40 degree C. Just as ice melts at 33 degrees, just as 13 inches equals 33 centimeters, just as 666 divided by 212 Fahrenheit, boiling point of water, is equal to pi 3.1415. The serendipitous lineup of Fahrenheit and Celsius at 40 perfectly coincides with Masonic Mystery School numerological knowledge in the Bible. There are 120 different variations of the number 40 in the Bible. Isaac and Esau were 40 years old when they took their wives. Noah endured 40 days and 40 nights of flood rains. Moses was with God for 40 days and nights on Mount Sinai receiving the 10 Commandments. Then Moses led Israel out of Egypt at age 80, 2x40, and after 40 years of eating manna and wandering in the wilderness he died at age 120, 3x40. Goliath presented himself to Israel for 40 days. Several Israelite kings and leaders ruled for 40 years such as David, Solomon, Elias. All 12 spies explored the promised land for 40 days. Jesus fasted, prayed and was tempted by Satan for 40 days in the desert. Modern Christians observe Lent fasting for 40 days before Easter. After the crucifixion resurrection before his ascension into heaven, Jesus spent 40 days with his disciples. Adam enters paradise when he is 40 years old. Eve follows 40 years later. During the Great Flood it rains for 40 days and 40 nights. Seth is carried away by angels when he is 40 and is not seen for 40 days. Moses is 40 when he goes to Midian and he stays for 40 years. Joseph is 40 years old when Jacob arrives in Egypt. Jesus goes into the wilderness for 40 days. The Bible is the word of God. Number. It is written in the esoteric code of the mystery schools. The Arabian literature was also compiled by and for initiates of the mysteries, and here you find the same codes. The Arbaint, the 40s, are stories which all relate to the number 40, and their calendar has 40 rainy and 40 windy days. Their laws constantly refer to 40. David Icke, The Biggest Secret 83. Rabbi Akiva, the greatest expositor of the Oral Torah, began learning how to read Hebrew when he was 40 years old. A mikveh consists of 40 c. Approximately 200 gallons of water. 40 lashes is one of the punishments given out by the Sanhedrin. In Hinduism, many popular religious prayers consist of 40 shlokas or dohas, stanzas, the most common being the Hanuman Chalisa. Chalis is the Hindi term for 40. In Muslim cultures the dead are usually mourned for 40 days. A Dajjal roamed around the earth in 40 days. Khadijah was 40 years old when she married Muhammad. Muhammad began to receive the word of God, the Quran, from the angel Gabriel when he was 40 years old, and within 4 years he converted a group of 40 followers. Some Russians believe that ghosts of the dead linger at the site of their death for 40 days. 40 is a mystical number signifying some sort of trial, testing, transition period and spiritual growth. However, in the Bible it is always 40 days or 40 years, never 40 weeks. This lends credence to the conjecture that the 7-day week is a relatively modern Christian creation, and also points to this glaring void. 120 uses of 40 days years, but never once use 40 weeks. Could this be because it is exactly 40 weeks, 9 months, that a woman carries her developing baby in the womb before birth? Could it be the floodwaters of the mother and Noah is the baby protected by an ark? Why was Moses in Egypt, Moses in Syria, Minos is Crete, Manoah in India, and all the precedents floated on a basket down a river, then later said to part the Red Sea? Why in the Bible are women said to be unclean for 40 days after the birth of a boy? Manna translates what is it, is what Moses ate for 40 years in the desert. Could the Bible be referring to Mama's manna in the womb? 666. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of man, and his number is 666. Revelation 13, 1618. One of the most well-known mystical numbers is the biblical 666 mark of the beast. The beast causeth all to receive mark without which they may not buy or sell. Currently thousands of people in America and Britain have voluntarily embedded very chip microchips inside their bodies. These microchips contain their medical, financial, and other accords and are satellite traceable anywhere in the world. At this point being chipped is optional, and we can buy sell with or without one. But in the near future, the Brotherhood International Bankers plan to implement their world cashless society. Just a few years ago people scoffed at such an idea. Now it is commonplace. Thousands are being chipped, and laws are gradually being implemented for mandatory chipping of pets, prisoners and Alzheimer's patients. Microchipping or tattooing is actually the final stage in the Beast's plan. Many other steps toward this financial control grid have already been taken and bear the 666 mark. For example, the scannable barcode found on every corporate product. It is interesting to note that the Greek word translated mark is kyrigma, which comes from the Greek word cherax, which means a palisade, like a picket fence. When one realizes that this specific word was used back in the 1st century, and we see today the use of the computer-related barcode, we find the possibilities becoming more than a reality in our day and age. Robert Van Kampen, The Sign, 231. Thus the Greek root meaning of the mark is a palisade, a picket fence, a succession of vertical bars, just like the barcode. Furthermore, the Beast's number 666 is encoded into each UPC. The interpretation of the Universal Product Code marks is most revealing in that the three numbers 666 are the key working numbers for every designed Universal Product Code. Every group of Universal Product Code marks has in it 3 unidentified numbers. All 3 of these numbers are 6, making the use of the number 666 the key to using this identifying marking system. There is no deviation. Every Universal Product Code has 3 unidentified marks whose number equivalent 6, encoding it with the code number 666. Bob Fraley, The Last Days in America 225. 228. Each set of lines in the barcode stands for a number 19. So that for instance a skinny line next to a fat line might mean 1, a medium line next to a fat one 2, and so on. The code for 6 is 2 skinny lines next to one another. Notice every barcode has 3 sets of thin, parallel lines slightly longer than the others at the beginning, middle and end. These particular lines register as void because they are barriers, but by being 2 thin lines, they encode the UPC number 6 thrice. Also notice there are always 13 numbers displayed beneath the barcode. What is the mark? Well, the mark, Brian, is the barcode, the ubiquitous barcode that you'll find on every bog roll, and every packet of Johnny's and every epoxy pie. And every barcode is divided into 2 parts by 3 markers, and those 3 markers are always represented by the number 6. 666. Now what does it say? No one shall be able to buy or sell without that mark. And now what they are planning to do in order to eradicate all credit card fraud and in order to precipitate a totally cashless society. What they are planning to do, what they've already tested on the American troops. They're going to subcutaneously laser tattoo that mark onto your right hand or onto your forehead. Naked. British movie. 1993 Internal Revenue Code Book Code number 666 requires everyone to take the Social Security mark. Thankfully codes aren't laws. 666 The Beast equals 3x6 equals 18 like our 18-digit tracking number stored in the 3-story BEAST supercomputer in Brussels, Belgium. In 1974 Dr. Hendrik Eldman, chief analyst of the Common Market Confederacy in Brussels, unveiled the Beast. Every person in the world has been assigned an 18-digit tracking number, which consists of 3 groups of 6 numbers. The first 3 numbers assigned in the Beast computer to everyone are 666. The next is one's national code. The US national code is 110. Then the next 3 numbers are your telephone area code, and then finally your 9-digit social security number. The code then is 666 and nation code and tel area code and social security number equals Beast ID number for an individual. Dwight Kinman, the world's last dictator. 256. Visa card is also interesting, to say the least. If you analyze the letters in Visa, you see 3 previous world empires represented. VI is the number 6 in the Roman numerals. S is the stigma in the Greek culture whose value is 6. And lastly the A in the Babylonian culture is 6. That is, Visa equals 666. Masonic, Occult Numerology by Duke Vicarius Filii Dii is the official title of the Pope. It is Latin meaning the representative of the Son of God, and using Roman numerology equals exactly 666. V equals 5, I equals 1, C equals 100, A equals 0, R equals 0, I equals 1, U, V equals 5, S equals 0, Vicarius equals 112, F equals 0, I equals 1, L equals 50, I equals 1, I equals 1. Filii equals 53, D equals 500, E equals 0, I equals 1, DI equals 501, 112 plus 53 plus 501 equals 666. The name George Bush in Hebrew gematria equals 666. G equals 3, Gimel, E equals 5, He, O equals 70, Ain, R equals to 100, Resh, G equals 3, Gimel, E equals 5, He, B equals 2, Beth, U equals 70, Ain, S equals 300, Shin, H equals 8, Cheth. Total 666. Amazingly George Bush equals 6 in Pythagorean, Chaldean, and ASCII numerology. In the numeric computer language American Standard Code for Information Exchange, ASCII, values start with A equals 65, Z equals 90. This means that the letter W equals 87. Numerologically 87 must be broken to a single digit, so 8 plus 7 equals 15 and 1 plus 5 equals 6. Thus in the American Standard Computer Language, World Wide Web equals www equals 666. Every time you type a URL using the QWERTY keyboard, it is your Satan ring finger that presses the 666. A huge spider sculpture displayed at Rockefeller Center in 2001 is now at the National Gallery of Canada. There is another one at the World Court in Hague, Netherlands. The Bohemian Grove Shakespeare slogan erroneously states that weaving spiders come not here. Is all spiderweb symbology any indication of the elite perspective? The Boy Scouts of America motto ends everything is A-OK, then they do the OK sign with their right hand on their forehead. If you look closely, the thumb and index finger make a circle, and the other three fingers reach up like 3 6s. So the OK is 666, and placing it on your forehead is just like in Revelation 13:16, 2 divided by 3 equals 0.666. 666 divided by 212 Fahrenheit, the boiling point of water, is equal to pi 3.1415. House Resolution 666 is an unconstitutional attack on Second and Fourth Amendment rights under the pseudonym of crime prevention. U.S. Highway 666 leads to Dulce, New Mexico, where a huge military underground facility is located. Personnel, soldiers, and civilians have incredible stories to tell about Dulce and the Dulce Wars. The Euro coin of the European Union has 6 stars with 6 rods, then 6 more stars equals 666. Officially there are 660 rooms in Windsor Castle. Those moral pillars of the community wouldn't be hiding 6 rooms, would they? The Better Business Bureau is BBB, which looks like 666, and its symbol is the Illuminati torch flame. BBB equals 222 numerologically. The words truth and wisdom are both found in exactly 222 verses of the King James Bible. The word Nazarene is 222 in Greek gematria. The 222nd word of the New Testament is Alexandria. Alexandria in Strong's Concordance of the King James Bible is number 222. Alexandria, Egypt is 222 miles round trip to the Great Pyramid. In Alexandria, Virginia, the George Washington National Masonic Memorial Building stands 333 feet tall. Washington's birthday has been moved from the 11th of February to the 22nd, which is 222. George Washington's Alexandria Lodge number was 22. The Washington Monument Obelisk in Washington, D.C. is 555 feet tall above ground, with another 111 feet anchoring below. 555 plus 111 equals 666. The word Christ is used 555 times in the New Testament. The temperature difference of the moon is 555 degrees, and the area of Mars is 55,555,000 square miles. Pythagorean numerology only goes up to 9 and then starts over at 1, giving 2 or 3 letters per number. Using Pythagorean numerology, the word Fox, like Rupert Murdoch's Fox News, actually encodes 666. So does Rockefeller's Exxon. Exxon equals 666. The Xbox, Xbox equals 666. And movies like Triplex and the X-Men trilogy. When something is XXX like for poison or pornography, it is 666. When you write XOXO for hugs and kisses, it also means 666,666. When every game of tic-tac-toe is finished, the 3x3 square filled with X's and O's is actually 666 in every direction. Off-brand products are called Brand X. And of course, there is the US terrorist prison camp, Camp X-Ray at Guantanamo, Cuba. Today's youth have been called Generation X, and a lot of folks are concerned about a planet, or star, reported to be speeding toward us called Planet X that has occult significance. He mentioned, too, the interesting use of the letter X in the RX of drugstores, the use of the 4-letter, abbreviated word Christmas to replace Christmas, and the fact that, in Black's Law Dictionary, it says that the sign or mark of X is sometimes made as a substitute for a man's signature on legal documents, and the continued use of the mysterious X abounds. Children at play can be heard to say, "Cross my heart and hope to die." In the Greek alphabet, the letter chi is denoted with the symbol X, and given the numerical designation of 600, the numerologists say that triple X, then, would yield the number 666. Black Muslim leaders obviously see X as a substitute name of great spiritual significance. Two well-known black Muslim leaders have been named Malcolm X and Louis X, names they chose for themselves. The latter, who was born Louis Eugene Walcott in 1933 in New York City, changed his name to Louis X after his conversion to Islam by black Muslim leader Elijah Muhammad. Today, he is known as Louis Farrakhan. It is well known that Farrakhan is a 33-degree Prince Hall Mason. Tex Mars, Codex Magica, 2056. Generation X plays their Xbox game called X-Men about people mutating due to X-ray radiation. Meanwhile, Fox's X-Files, Sitchin's Planet X, and Project Camelot's Mr. X are telling us the aliens are coming. Brandx is generic and expendable. An ex-husband or wife has been crossed. Z. Out. There was no Generation W or Y. Why are we Generation X? X marks the spot. Could we be marked for something? The sign, or letter, X, has a long history of use in the ancient mystery religions, in apostate Judaism, in Freemasonry, and in the occult. The Illuminati elite use it to this day to symbolize key phenomena and mark significant events. The mysterious letter X seems to take on a wide and varied life of its own, with or without the secret aid of the elite sponsorship. Tex Mars, Codex Magica, 205. The meanings of 666 are many and varied. 6x6 equals 36, and when added together, every number from 136, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 36, equals 666. Creation was in 6 days. Man and the serpent were created on day 6. Man labors 6 days only, and has 6 names in the Bible: Ada, Ish, Enosh, Jeva, Anthropos, and Anna. 6x6x600 equals 21,600, which is a number of nautical miles around the earth. Plato said in Critias that 6 was a sacred number in Atlantis and represented the female intuitive receptive moon power. The triplicate of any number in numerology is the highest intensification, so 666 means strongest female moon energy. If Jesus Christ is the sun 555, then their antichrist would be the moon daughter 666. Also 6x6x60 equals 2160, the precise number of years to pass through one sign of the zodiacal procession of the equinoxes. This 25,920 year, 360-degree cycle. Plato's great year is the long backwards wobble Earth takes through the signs of the zodiac. We move 1 degree every 72 years, so each sign of 30 degrees takes 2,160 years to pass through. This knowledge, well understood by the ancients, is all contained in the Bible, but has been covered up and kept hidden over time by the priests and papacy. The later chapter, Astrothology, will explain how pagan sun worship has been propagated as Christian sun worship.